This is Mark Dykes, trustee at Wickham Homeless Connection. I have a deep interest in our data systems, and this is a Zoom session, a recording for group leaders that we will be asking to organize our night shelter. This is about our new volunteering management system as a fairly hefty system able to organize the heavy duty scheduling that we need to run our night shelter. We will be referring later to the user guide I think I may have sent you, and possibly also a sample about your team, a sample report about your team. So let me talk about what we're going to cover in this session. I'll give you an overview of service. We'll talk about shift planning, features of service. I'll touch on the user guide. We'll not have questions, but we will talk about exercises and what happens next. Now, in preparing to run a night shelter, we need a new system. The old one was technically obsolete. And back in 2019, Maurice and I looked at 20 different systems and chose the one that came closest to what we wanted. We got as far as training some people just before COVID hit. But then we put it in cold storage in case we needed it again. And hey, presto, we do. And I'm pleased to say that the plugin team have piloted the system over the summer to make sure that we were using it in the best way, make sure the instructions were clear. So here we go, the benefits of this system. Volunteers explicitly offer shifts that they could do. This is not like the old system where people said, I want to do weekly, but I can't do this, and this date. Because this, and this were often wrong, which frustrated the heck out of shift planners. This is different. On this occasion, people will explicitly offer the shifts that they could do. Let's see now, they can access it on their phone. Their hours are automatically logged. It has its own built-in email system, and it's a commercial system with robust support and maintenance and is secure. Some terminology things. We have typically thought in terms of a night shelter or night happening at a venue and people doing a shift. Within service, the people that operate at a particular night are called a group and they're managed by a group leader, that's you. Depending on the context, the shift might be called an opportunity, event, or slot. And when a volunteer puts their hand up to make a shift offer, they are, quote, requesting to be registered to an event. And when you agree that they should do that shift, then you are registering them to an event. So that's the terminology. So what volunteers see, they directly offer the shifts that they could do. And then group leaders choose who will actually do the shift. And there are emails that go to and fro to confirm the assignment, not involving you. That's between the system and the volunteer. And in addition to that, the system provides automatic reminder emails to volunteers of forthcoming shifts, so that can't be bad. So we need to prompt volunteers to come and offer shifts when we release or make visible a new block of shifts, and that happens monthly. Volunteers can access the system to keep their data current if they change their phone number, for example. So a lot of good stuff in here. It's a new system. What can we say? I liken it to mobile phone. Mobile phone is great. It lets you make and receive calls wherever there's a signal, but you have to keep charging it and you can drop it down the loo, which are not problems that we had with landlines. So any new system is going to have good stuff in it, but also maybe things that are annoying. So an outline of the planning process. Step one is for you to understand your team, know what roles they offer, who are your cooks, know how often they're offering, who's the weeklies, who are the monthlies, and know who's done their training. Yep, these people have done training, so actually they can operate as a cook or they can operate as a shift leader. So the shifts we need to plan, it's about 250 of them with about over 1,500 individual role slots, and we need to do that in the most sensible way. So we will call for people to make shift offers probably monthly, and we'll call for them to offer as many dates and roles as they could do, not restrict themselves to what they like to do. And the reason for that is that if everyone chose just what they wanted to do, that we would find some days and roles would be oversubscribed and some undersubscribed. This way, you will have some flexibility to balance things. And volunteers will therefore, if they're telling you everything they could conceivably do, they will rely upon you not to overload them. They'll rely on you to look at their frequency preference, whether it be fortnightly, monthly, or whatever, and not to overload them. So then the next step, obviously, is with you to accept the offers that will staff up your systems. And Service helps you here because of its built-in emails. First of all, when a volunteer makes an offer, then an email will go back with an acknowledgement to say, thank you, we got your offer, we're thinking about it. And then once you've thought about it and say, yeah, I'm going to have this person for this shift, then a confirmation email will go back saying, yeah, we thought about it and now you're on. And then finally, there will be a reminder email a few days before the actual event. Now, as ever, we plan reserves in case of dropout, and we'll discuss in a minute how to call up a reserve. Now, after all the planning's happened, we will need a way to send out the list of people on a shift, and we're going to help you with that. And then we will now touch on various different functions that Service offers in a minute or two. So what volunteers offer, they offer what group they're in, that's what night of the shelter they want to run. And if they're a twice weekly person, then it could be they're in two. But bottom line is, if someone's in your group, you can plan for them. Secondly, they say what roles they can do: host cook, assistant cook, shift leader, all involving a certain level of training. And they also declare what frequency they want to serve in. Now, both volunteers and group leaders can only see the events that they're associated with. If you're the Tuesday, Wednesday shelter person, you'll see the events for that shelter. And if a volunteer has put up their hand to do that night, that's the stuff they will see. Otherwise, they'll be overwhelmed with huge numbers of things to choose between, and that would become impractical. Slots are typically made visible 2 months ahead. We're slightly behind on January, for example, because not everyone's trained or signed up yet. But let's see now. February shifts will become visible on the 1st of December. And that first of the month could be a trigger for you to issue a request for offers. And then we will ask people to offer all the slots and stuff on slots and roles that they can. So here's the way the system fits together. In their profile, volunteers have things like their contact information, but also they've indicated what night they want to help on. In this example slide, it's the Monday shelter. And within that service, there are 3 events that they can choose to look at. And within the Tuesday morning, there are all the dates here. And within a particular date, there are all the roles. And these are all set up within Service. And after you sent out your request for offers, when a volunteer then logs in, they can see the slots linked to the group they chose. And online, they can request to be registered to a slot. And that request is stored in the system. So here's an example of someone offering to be a shift leader on a particular day. And when they offer, the system automatically sends them that acknowledgement email. And then sometime after you send out your request for offers, because you would give a deadline, and then that deadline, all the offers are in, you start planning after that deadline. You'll go in, you'll see all the offers, you choose the ones you like. And if you accept an offer, the system will automatically send a confirmation email back to tell the volunteer they are on. And now the magic happens. Actually, yeah, the planning. Here's the center core of the planning, but before you choose, how do you choose, basically? It's all about marrying offers to slots, and this is nothing to do with computer skills. This is everything to do with common sense. So remember, volunteers offer everything they're available and trained for, all the dates and all the roles. And they've got acknowledgement, and you'll have beside you a report that will tell you what they're signed up for, what they're trained for, and how often they want to serve, and that's a key thing for you. The report will also contain a field called approval notes, and that will give additional information that might apply to a specific volunteer. And you'll get to know your team. You'll know who your cooks are. You'll know who your weeklies are, your monthlies, and so on. And as more volunteers sign up, then we'll issue you with an update of that report. And I want to show it to you. Let me see if I can share the thing here. This is a spreadsheet, and this orange area is a sort of a miniature of the report that you will have. It currently only shows 4 test items that are in the system for you to play with. But in principle, name of the volunteer, phone number, whether they do particular roles, cook, assistant cook, host, or shift leader, how many roles they're doing, and it'll say why that's important in a minute. Frequency they want to operate in, any note that applies to them specifically, and what training they've had. And right now, this stuff is blank. So we have the challenge to balance people across the week. Right now, more people have offered Wednesdays and Thursdays than have offered other days. So we will try, and we're currently actually engaged in nudging people who've offered multiple nights to zero in on a particular night that needs more people to help. So to make best use of your offers, you'll fill the slots first that are hardest to fill with your most valuable offers. And this is a table here above. It happens to be above. It probably be a different spreadsheet, but this is sort of a planning table showing all the weeks in a month, the evening, night, and morning shifts for each week, and the roles across the top here, including reserve cook and reserve hosts 1 and 2. And the number of people needed, number of hosts varies, and we only need cooks in the evening. So this is a table that needs to be filled. It shows the month, and there are various sort of ways that you could approach this. You could say, well, if somebody is only offering one role, and that's why this column is important. If someone's only offering one role, then that's the role that they're going to do. Another one would be if I've only got one person who can do a particular role, then that's the person that's going to do it. We'll want to watch out for, as we fill this thing in, we probably want to start morning and overnight because they are less popular shifts, harder to fill. Probably want to do cook and stuff. The harder slots to fill, we'll do them first, and then we'll probably find that we've got enough left over to do the evening shifts. We want to make sure that no one is down for both evening and night, for example, and we want to make sure that the frequency of offers matches what people said. I mean, if somebody's weekly, then you put them in one slot there. You could put them in every other slot in the month. If somebody's less than weekly, then we'll want to make sure that we respect that. And in particular, the following months, we'll want to look back at this month and make sure that a fortnightly person hasn't inadvertently been put in 2 weeks consecutively. Things like that. So this has nothing to do with computer skills. This is all about logic. This is all about logic. Yeah. And once you have filled in this table and to your satisfaction, you've optimized it, then you go back to service and you fill in, you select all the offers that you've made from amongst the offers that volunteers made. You select the ones you want, and you click a button, and the system will automatically inform everyone that they are on. Okay, so let me go back to where I was in my slides. Okay. So reserves, right? So reserve slots are exactly the same as any other slot. Somebody has to indicate that they are willing to do that. And clearly, if someone says they're willing to be host, they really ought to be willing to do a reserve host on that night if it suits your purpose. better. And equally, if someone is a cook, they could also be a reserve cook. I think people will need to get into that mindset to offer everything that they can and to understand how to do that. So people will offer them and you will accept them in the same way. So there'll be a confirmation email goes back. And so a fully staffed event date will have all the slots allocated, including reserve slots. Now, if someone drops out, they can cancel, and there's various ways that they can indicate that to you. There are links in these acknowledgement and confirmation emails, or they can log in and do it on their homepage. Point is, whichever way they do it, you will be notified. And actually, that's the only type of email you will get will be a cancellation email. So hopefully few and far between. And that will prompt you to pull in your reserve. And the way you do that is a two-stage process. First of all, you unregister the volunteer from the reserve slot, and then you manually re-register them in the role that you need to fill. So there we go. Now here's the pages here actually how it looks to you when you log in. This is the group leader homepage, and there are various points here of interest. First of all, this black bar is key. If you're on any other page in the homepage, this little house icon will light up, and that will be the way that you'll get back to the homepage if you get lost. At the right here, there is a little person icon. Look under that, hover or tap, and you'll be able to update your own profile or sign out. And these are the main commands. Really, there are three, I guess. Change your password, look at volunteers. But the key one here we're going to look at is click to manage shifts. You probably want to stay away from the rest, actually. We don't need them, and there's a possibility to get lost. So let us do some shift planning. When you click on that link, you come to the event list page, which has got a list of the events that you will be responsible for. There is an evening one, an overnight one, a morning one, and currently there's also a test one, which will disappear in the fullness of time. Now, from the bottom here, there's some interesting icons that are next to each event. The one here it's there because someone has made some pending offers in that test event, and actually it will be attractively pulsing away to attract your attention. But we don't actually use that. Other than noting that it's pulsing, we don't go there because there's a better page that we use for planning, and this is the registration icon, which is right next door. And we can click there to see, first of all, pending people, and also people who we actually have registered. So if we click on there, we then get to the registration page, and it's basically 2 clicks from login to here. There's click 1 to get to the event and click 2 to get to the slots. And now you see all the slots and their associated offers. Now this is actually a support center example. So the only slots there are shift assistant and shift leader. Shift assistant is just support center speak for host, really. Anyway, it shows here a 0 out of 5. And that says that there are 5 vacancies for shift assistants and 0 have been registered. There's only 1 person pending and they have not been registered, so they're 0 out of 5. And here's the next one, is shift leader vacancy, and it's 0 out of 1. There's obviously only 1 vacancy for a shift leader, and there are none there. And after that, there are the other dates. Now you'll have more slots on any given date. For an evening shift, you'll have 6: shift leader, host, reserve host, cook, assistant cook, and reserve cook. 6 slots, and when taken together, that's actually 13 people. And then you'll have the evening, overnight, and morning events. Those are separate events. And the way to accept an offer is simply to tick the box next to the pending event, and then click approve pending at the bottom of the page. Offers are accepted one at a time. So calling up a reserve involves using this button here. When someone is actually accepted, then the pending turns into a little icon. And again, in order to unregister someone, you would just tick on the relevant box here and click unregister selection. So, and having unregistered someone, we wanted to re-register them as the actual thing we wanted them to do, and we would use this section up here. In this box, we would search for the volunteer, and then we would click this register volunteer button. It would then give us a list of all the conceivable slots that we might want to register them to. We'd select them. We'd press a button called complete registration, and it would take us then back to this very page where we would again select them and hit approve pending, or maybe send auto confirmation email. The user guide explains exactly how to do this. Okay, what else does Service let us do? You can search for volunteers. You can update their profile if they tell you that something's changed, which is not a daily occurrence. But the more usual thing that you want to do to them is to create emails to them. So let's go through these one by one. More detail on search. This is the search page, which is one of your key commands in your home page, which is a search volunteer database. If you just click this here with all blank, then you'll get a list of all your people. But if you just start writing someone's first or last name in here, it will offer you matches onto which you can click. So if someone was Bill, by the time you'd got to BIL, it would offer you all the bills, and you'd click and probably all the bills down here. If there was more than one, you get all your volunteers. So if you've click this with the box blank, you'll get all your volunteers. To select them, you would click this box right at the top. It's just sort of a standard layout, and then you can do various interesting things. If you've enabled more than one volunteer, you can get bulk actions here, and one of the actions you get in this menu is send email to selected volunteers, and then you would click that button to make it happen. If you just wanted to send an email to one volunteer, you would click this envelope next to their name. Either way, you would then end up on this email page. Occasionally, you might need to begin by deleting a draft that you might have left behind. But normally you would want to make sure that your email was in there, should be automatic. You'd want to enter a subject. You would want to enter some text and then send it. But actually, if it's a standard email, for example, yep, we've got a month's worth of new shifts for you to offer on, or yep, I've done all the planning, your rota is complete. If you've not heard from me by now, then you're off the hook. Or I'm short of people for next Tuesday, or whatever it might be. These are the three standard cases that we have built into an email template, and we reach them through here. And these are standard templates that you can use. They are marked with a shared icon, which seems to be an aerial view of three people holding hands. All group leaders will use them, so please don't modify or overwrite the templates. So loading a template brings us in the standard text into that email body for you to modify. For example, you want to enter your name. Instructions are in each template, and then you can add any attachment and go send immediately. Okay, so I sent you a user guide. Don't be alarmed by it. It seems to be fairly long. That's because it's designed to take someone from ground zero. So it's pretty much in a blow-by-blow style. For you, it includes both the volunteer section and the group leader section. And the reason for that is that if you ever want to register yourself to do a shift, then you'll need to follow what is in the volunteer section. Now, within Service, I have set up some special test events and test volunteers who have made shift offers for you to deal with. Please don't touch any real events or actual volunteers at this stage. I would urge you to use the user guide at each stage. It is your friend. And I would ask you to accept some offers just for a couple of dates within your test event. And you won't have enough offers there to fully staff the event, to fully populate all the slots. But I would ask you to assign 2 hosts, assign a cook, and assign a reserve host for each date. Just that, okay? And you'll find this is a bit of a logic challenge for you because each of the 4 volunteers is offering different roles, and you'll need to work out how to make it all fit together. And when you get that far, let me know and I'll go in and check. And then after that, there will be a second test, which will be to make one of your reserves into a host. Okay, so here's just for interest what volunteers have. You can see it's a simpler page. They can update their profile, change their password. They can apply for shifts, and they can also, this is a place where they can cancel a shift in their homepage. So these are the main things. Again, this is where they would go to log out. And this is the event list that they see. These are the events that were associated with the Tuesday, Wednesday shelter. They would see these 3. They would click on the one they're interested in, and then the page would change. And beneath Tuesday evening, we now get a green bar for them to click on. And when they clicked on it, they would see a bunch of slots. Again, they would select in this box the ones that they wanted to do. Sorry, the ones that they could conceivably do and were trained for. And they could change their mind at that point or click register. And if they click register, then the system will send them one of those acknowledgement emails. Actually, it will send them one email no matter how many of these slots they have ticked. And that's different from you. When you accept a shift offer, then each acceptance, each confirmation is for a single slot. So when they've done all that, they'll get a successful registration bar. Okay, so what's going to happen next? Quite soon, I guess Peter or someone will decide that, yeah, we've got enough volunteers signed up that we can make a start at planning. We've got enough people signed up and trained how to work in the shelter and trained on how to use service. That's very key. When we reach that point, then either Peter or will directly say to everyone, okay, the shifts are open, plan away, or he might ask you to make that announcement to your own group. And they'll have a specific time frame to offer shifts within. And then at that deadline, after that deadline, you will start to do the planning as I outlined earlier, and you'll maybe give yourself a week to do it, a few days, whatever. And when you've done it, then it will be up to you to send an email to your people to say that the rota is complete. And actually that there is a template, an email template in the system for you to do that. So that would be make your January plan. We will distribute it as needed to your shift leaders. And then again, a month later, you'll do the December one, and a month after that, you'll do the January one. So there's a monthly rhythm there. Final point I want to make is that I'm really committed to make this work. So if you get stuck with any question, then please do give me a call. There is a short video within the shelter page architecture. You could go to it, sort of night shelter training, how to use service, and on that final page you'll find a 6-minute video which goes through the steps live about how you do the rota planning steps using service. So hopefully that will be useful to you. And the final point I would make is I do propose to set up a WhatsApp group so that you can instantly pose questions to each other and to me. I have your mobile numbers, so watch out for an invitation from me. Thanks very much for your time and good luck. And let's see if I can end this recording. Yep.